Welcome to your executive briefing. Today, we are diving into an explainer of a massive, and I mean massive, organizational turnaround. We're going to map out exactly how you'll step into a high-stakes consulting engagement to save Asphalt Specialists Incorporated, or ASI, from its first-ever unprofitable year. We are going to break down the exact frameworks, the mathematical models, and the leadership strategies you're going to need to master to pull this company out of a total nosedive.
So, picture this. The client crisis begins right here with an intercepted email from Operations Director Dan Rogo. It's 5:30 in the morning, he's sitting in his truck, totally exhausted and dealing with broken equipment, completely unstandardized crews, and a mixing plant that is severely bottlenecked. He is literally begging his brother, who runs the sales department, to stop taking new orders because operations simply cannot keep up with the volume.
But then we have his brother, Bruce. This quote brilliantly illustrates the other side of the conflict. Bruce is the head of sales, and to him, revenue is absolute oxygen. He insists that if he stops selling, the business dies. He's laser-focused on hitting strict client deadlines and bringing in high-value commercial bids. He kind of views operations as a department that just needs to, well, work harder and figure it out.
Now here's the crucial point. As the incoming executive consultant, you've got to navigate this intense organizational friction without taking sides. Bruce, he's your classic visionary, super high energy, always looking at the horizon and top-line growth. Dan is the integrator, buried deep in the weeds, just trying to execute the field operations. Their relationship is totally dysfunctional right now, and fixing that dynamic, that's your step one.
Okay, let's look at the numbers and establish our baseline. We're talking about a real company here, with $40 million in annual revenue and 120 employees. But here's the kicker. There's a massive $1.2 million transit depot contract on the line with a strict 15-week deadline. If they miss it, they face severe $5,000 weekly penalties. The clock is ticking, and it's ticking loudly. To pull off this 15-week consulting engagement, we'll be moving through 5 distinct phases: the dual framework turnaround, strategy and project management, capacity, scorecards and lean, supply chain and reliability, and finally, the big one, the final boardroom pitch. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the dual framework turnaround.
To actually pull this off, you can't just use one playbook. You've got to mash up 2 totally different disciplines. You'll use Gino Wickman's Qualitative Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, to fix the leadership, people, and process issues. Simultaneously, you'll deploy Jay Heiser's Quantitative Operations Management tools to fix the math, optimizing things like schedules, inventory, and capacity. It's really this perfect marriage of culture and calculus.
So how do you actually organize your consulting team? Well, you're going to organize your student groups into a 5-seat accountability system. Your firm will need a team integrator, an organizational and EOS lead, a quantitative analysis lead, a data and visuals lead, and a quality specialist. Working together in these specific roles, you'll move through the consulting phases to build one integrated strategy.
Moving right along to Section 2, Strategy and Project Management. Okay, so Group 1 is up first, focusing on strategic alignment. You'll literally be drafting an EOS vision/traction organizer and building a clear accountability chart to officially and legally separate Bruce and Dan's responsibilities. That work flows naturally into Group 2, who has to construct a PERT and critical path method network diagram. Why? Because you have to mathematically prove whether ASI can actually hit that 15-week transit depot deadline, or if you're going to need to spend money to crash the project schedule.
Now, here's a massive hurdle you'll hit right away in Phase 1. Dan just wants to buy a super expensive automated paver to make his crews work faster. But you've got to calculate multi-factor productivity to show him the whole picture. You have to prove to Dan that buying an automated machine just to boost labor efficiency, which is the classic robot pitfall, could literally bankrupt the company when that massive daily equipment overhead skyrockets.
And we can't ignore the culture. ASI currently has a terrible meeting culture. It's just full of finger-pointing. To fix this, Group 2 will implement a weekly Level 10 meeting rhythm centered around the IDS track. That's Identify, Discuss, and Solve. As students, you'll actually use this exact weekly cadence yourselves to systemize your own accountability and permanently kill the reactive, chaotic culture that's been stalling progress.
Let's dive into Section 3, Capacity, Scorecards, and Lean.
So Group 3 has to figure out what is going wrong at the mixing plant. The math says its effective capacity is 4,500 tons per week, but actual production isn't even close, and inventory is just piling up at job sites.
You'll use the theory of constraints here to figure out, is the physical plant the actual bottleneck, or are there completely uncoordinated scheduling policies the real constraint choking the whole system?
You've also got to stop the cash bleed. You'll safeguard cash flow by rolling out an EOS weekly scorecard, assigning single-name accountability to 8 specific leading metrics. Meanwhile, Group 4 is tackling the messy paving crews. They're going to implement a 5S lean layout for the equipment yard so workers stop wasting hours looking for tools. Plus, they'll design on-site poka-yoke checklists so crews stop skipping crucial compaction steps that cause all those quality errors.
Next up is Section 4, Supply Chain and Reliability. Okay, Group 5, this is your time to shine. You need to calculate the precise overall reliability of that critical automated paving machine. Looking at its individual subsystems, which are currently sitting at 95, 90, and 88% reliability, you've got to mathematically demonstrate how adding a redundant backup component in parallel to that absolute weakest link can prevent a catastrophic mid-job failure.
And this isn't just math for the sake of math, it directly drives financial strategy. ASI currently averages 4 breakdowns a season at $3,500 a pop. You'll run a cost minimization study to prove to the owners that buying a $5,000 preventative maintenance contract is way cheaper than their current run-to-failure chaos. You'll also calculate the economic order quantity for their bitumen inventory to finally optimize their supply chain deliveries.
Which brings us to the grand finale, Section 5, the final boardroom pitch.
Everything you've built culminates right here. You'll synthesize all your findings into one cohesive 20-minute executive presentation delivered directly to Bruce and Dan, who will be played by your instructors, by the way. You're going to be graded heavily on 3 things: your quantitative accuracy, your deep theoretical synthesis of bridging the traction and operations management frameworks, and your professional executive-level delivery.
So the only question left is, are you ready to step into that boardroom and rescue ASI? Pulling this off will require perfect math, razor-sharp leadership insights, and the ability to unite 2 warring brothers under one operational vision. I really hope this explainer gave you a crystal-clear roadmap of the massive challenge ahead. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck in the boardroom.